You are listening to the Estheticians Earning More podcast with Brittany Hageman, episode number 221. Happy final Monday of 2025. Welcome back. I hope you can hear me okay, because I don't think I'll re-record this if this audio, unless it's like absolute garbage, because my podcast microphone's not working. I think something's wrong, like the input of the cord. I don't know if I need I'm going to get a new cord and hopefully that'll solve it. But if not, the whole microphone needs to be replaced, which is fine. I've had it for like 5 years, so I'm recording it on my phone's microphone. So let's just cross our fingers that you can hear me. I am so excited to be back with you. The final Monday of the year before New Year's. I love New Year's. I love the start of it. I love a word of the year. So today's kind of a reflection episode / my word of the year for 2026. And just some things I've been doing and thinking about and spending my energy on that leads to the energy I need to continue daily owning a business. First of all, I have been listening to and watching on YouTube the Las Culturistas podcast, which I am so late to the bandwagon. I am in my 40s and I feel that in the sense that I am not in touch with what everyone's doing. I really am in my little bubble. So I know that this podcast has been around like a decade almost or something. It's nothing new. And if you haven't heard of it, I'm really excited to tell you about it. But it's a really funny podcast. It's a comedy-based podcast. Bowen Yang and Matt Rogers are in it. They're both comedians. Bowen Yang is on SNL. He was in Wicked, which is when I really first became familiar with him. I don't really watch SNL anymore because I'm old. I'm old. I watched the Amy Poehler years. We're going to get to Amy Poehler. I told you this is going to be like not a traditional episode. So either like stay with me or turn me off. That's fine. I'll be back next week. And so anyways, one of the things that they do, they interview a lot of celebrities, and Matt Rogers particularly always talks about like a through line through someone's career when he like talks to them and like asks them questions. And I thought about my through line in my career, not only as an esthetician, as a coach, now having a skincare line, but I think back to like when I was babysitting as a 12-year-old or working at a bakery is my first official job, working for the state of California outside of college, and like all the different jobs I've had, working for Target, obviously. And I think about like, what would my through line be that brings me to today? And that word, and it's going to be my word of the year for 2026 because I want to go back to myself in my work sense. The word is endurance. And sometimes I have people asking me this question, and it doesn't matter the age, when they're either clients or just estheticians that I meet. And it's a really wonderful, kind question. It's basically something along the lines of like, well, how have you figured this stuff out? And how has it not how have you not given up, essentially? Because people are experiencing challenges in their business and they're like, this is awful. I don't want to do this anymore, right? Because there's definitely sides to owning a business is super, super hard. I always I'm like, I don't know. I just kept trying and wasn't want to give up. And I do want to say there's a difference between giving up, completely quitting, walking away, which again, there's nothing wrong with if that's the right choice for you. Versus pivoting and figuring out new strategies and realizing either that doesn't work anymore, or that strategy isn't as effective anymore, or doesn't align with me anymore, or I'm going to try something totally different and really try it and let it see how it goes. So like an example of that would be like when I first opened my business, which I've said before on this podcast, when I opened my esthetician business, Instagram ads were pretty amazing. Instagram was really new. Nothing like fake. Facebook was where it was at, is where everyone hung out, or Twitter. And I've never been on Twitter really. And TikTok was not a thing yet. And also Instagram, there was no stories, there was no live, there was no video. It was all pictures. And a lot of times the pictures didn't even have captions. Remember that? That was really a long time ago. Anyways, and so I had to figure out how to capture people's attention on Instagram ads, and I figured it out. And you could pay like $40, run an ad for 5 days or 4 days, like $10 a day, and I would get like 2 or 3 clients from it. And that worked really, really well. And sometimes I would get people that just weren't ideal clients, and then never came back. So it wasn't like it just like filled up my books and I didn't think about anything, but it was a great way of getting people. So like I used to say the 3 ways that I would get people was social media, which sometimes included Instagram ads, Yelp at the time, which now I would say Google reviews, and telling everyone about my business / referrals, which is kind of how I teach my clients the same ideas with different strategies because things change all the time. And then I remember I had, like, this was 2018, I started to see some traction. And then like the end of 2019, like I had a lot of people that had been moving and I wanted to fill my books again. And I was like, I'm just going to run an ad and see what happens. And it like completely failed, right? So, okay, how can I reach people without doing an ad? And I actually figured out how to do on Instagram without doing an ad. That was just as easy. And of course, that strategy is not really effective anymore. And so I've had to continue to pivot how to connect with my audience. I think about when I started this esthetician business, I was like super relaxed and confident in marketing to be an esthetician, an acne specialist. Like I could do that in my sleep. But then I couldn't figure out the message for this marketing this business for a very long time. Like I kept pivoting and like changing kind of exactly what I was going to be marketing. And of course I had some incredible clients along the way. And then through that, I kind of learned what I really enjoyed teaching and coaching on and what things I just did not enjoy. And so I pivoted again. And like, it's so easy to give up at so many of those points, being like, this is too hard. I don't want to do this anymore. What used to work isn't working. What works for that person isn't working for me. It can feel very, very discouraging. But I have endurance. And even if today, this week, or this month, I don't show up as intentionally as I would like to sometimes, I still keep showing up. I don't just give up. And I've taken, in this business, I've taken breaks because of childcare. Sometimes I've taken breaks also just for like a need for break. I learned I had to build in weekly breaks into this business for childcare. 99% of the time, my daughter does not have school, and that is why we're having a break. Rarely I have a break without her being home, and I can get so much done. But usually we either go on vacation because she's home, or she's just home. Like this next 2 weeks, she's home. We're not going anywhere. I'm recording this before I'm recording this early. But like she has 2 weeks off of school. So I had to build those breaks in to my schedule and how my program worked. And so this was just constant pivoting, constant problem solving, constant trial and error. And I think about my clients that have had the most incredible years this year that do $20,000, $30,000 months as a solo esthetician, not working more than like 4 clients a day. I think about, and like 5 days a week, I think about the amount of things they've had to endure to figure it out to get to that point. And yes, you may think if you're like doing $7,000 a month, you think like, well, if I'm doing $20,000 or $25,000 a month, like life will be good. But there are a whole new amounts of challenges at that stage of your business because you still need to be doing all the things you were doing before, but you have less time and more people want your attention, which is a good problem to have, but it's still a problem and it still can create a lot of stress and anxiety. I think about like really challenging clients I've had in the past when I was doing acne, and like sometimes like I'd be like, why on earth? Like this is the craziest thing. Like, first of all, I know some of you guys have had really crazy clients, okay? But I haven't had really crazy clients, but I've had like my fair share of normal challenges. And a lot of the times it felt very discouraging. Again, I'm using the word discouraging, but it just felt like if I had, like, I just needed to figure out something else to make it less hard. Like, I was like, if I just figure out a different system, then they won't act this won't happen. And I had to come to realization, like, this is just how it happens with people, and people always are going to surprise me. People always surprise me in good and bad ways. Like, always. I'm always like, I don't know what this, like, I would have clients, I'd be like, I don't know if she's going to do anything. Like, I think she's kind of just lying to me right now. And I think she's saying she's going to do all the things, but she's not. I'm never going to see her again. And she's the most incredible client. Her skin clears beautifully and it's like all good. And then I'll have like acne clients that I'm like, this is my next best before and after, and then it was just, they just didn't at all do anything. And then they were mad at me and it was like, what the hell just happened? So what I used to think about then was like, why can't I figure this out easier? But I still kept trying to figure it out and figure out different ways to approach it in a way that's really authentic to myself. And I have to say, like, one of the best lessons for me was figuring a lot of that stuff out and how to manage my mind and how to manage thoughts around it has served so many other esthetician business owners. And so, like, I sometimes think about that today, like when I have to endure certain parts of this business that can be really hard or frustrating for me. When I think about my skincare line, which is like a whole nother beast of promotion and management. There's so much more to manage in a different way than what my current business is. And it's not hard, but it's just something else to figure out. And I just keep thinking, like, this is it, right? Like, this is how I operate. And this is my strength. My strength is not giving up, learning to pivot when I need to pivot, always being open to new strategies, ideas, and not taking any of it too seriously, and not taking myself too seriously. I like to say this a lot, like, especially when my clients were clearing so wonderfully, and it was just like one success after another. And they were so kind and so grateful. And I remember feeling like, well, I can't take their success too personally because I knew other people that I did the same acne treatments on, did the same everything, and they didn't do their part of it, and they didn't get the same success, and they were kind of annoyed by it. And so I had to really learn to detach from people's results, just being like an excited observer. And I have to say it's the same in this business. Again, the more clients I've had, the more years, like people I've worked with 4 years ago are doing $300,000 years that were probably doing like $50,000 years 3 years ago. I mean, I have so many stories like that. People I literally worked with 2, 3, 4 years ago, 1 year ago, and their business is doing so phenomenally, and they're totally hitting all the goals that we thought that they could hit as like a dream, like what would it be like a good dream, And people are always so grateful and complimentary to me, and it's so wonderful. But I also know, like, if they don't go and do all the strategies and be willing to pivot and be willing to try new things, like, they were not ever going to get those results. Like, they had to do all the work, just like my skincare clients had to do all the routines and change their diet and whatever lifestyle things, right? And yes, like coming to their appointments with me so I could help them figure out if there's problems, like things that are not working, and also doing extractions and peels and things like that helped. But they really had to go do their stuff, right? Is the 80%, right? 80% of change is at home. It's the same with my business owners that work with me. Is they go out and they do it again and again and again and again. They have endurance. So that is my word of the year. you can totally take it with you. Last year, or 2025, my year was unflappable. And I am a sensitive, emotional person. So I knew that word is a challenging word for me, but I kept going back to it. I do feel like from 2020 to 2024 I did not feel unflappable. And so I really do feel like there was an improvement in 2025. And I continuously try not to take things personally, even though I know my brain is going to take things personally. But if there's like a rude TikTok comment or something happens that I didn't expect, and something that happens that could be construed as hurtful, I really try to be curious about it and then let go of it. Which leads me to some really great stuff I have been watching, listening to, reading that I recommend to you if you have time off right now, or if you just like really need to get your head in the right space for the new year. And okay, so I'm just going to list you all the things, okay? You'll be able to understand my sense of humor. Favorite podcast for me is Good Hang with Amy Poehler. I only think one episode I was not a big fan of. Most of them are absolutely hilarious, especially the first episode, especially the first 5 minutes of the first episode, the Tina Fey episode, the first 5 minutes. Like, if you need to like howl, laugh, tears down your cheek, if you're having a really bad day, like that is exactly where you need to go. Like, pause this podcast and go to that one right now. But honestly, such a joy-filled episode. That whole podcast about finding joy and laughing. And I don't know about you, but I really need to be just laughing as much as possible because there's so many hard things in the world today. And then Las Culturistas, that's a brand new discovery for me. Super funny, definitely more like show busy and more like silly. And they have some silly segments and they have more serious segments, but it is genuinely funny and silly. Again, funny, silly. On Amy Poehler's Good Hang podcast, I almost say Good Inside, which is a parenting podcast, which is great, but I don't need any information podcast right now. I just want like funny, laughing, having a good time. But on Good Hang with Amy Poehler, there is a comedian that was on named Zarna Garg, wrote a book called This American Woman, a 1 in Billion Memoir. I loved this book so much. You could probably do it on Audible and it'd be amazing, or audio. I like to use Libby. I actually just got on Libby to read on my Kindle because I read a lot at night. And if it's audio, I may fall asleep more. And then like, where was I? Anyways, if you need to feel inspired, if you need to feel like you get a kick in your butt and you're ready to just take action and stop overthinking things and stop feeling bad about yourself for things not going the way that you want. Like, if you're ready to be like, I'm going to do this, go read Zarna Garg's book. So funny, so sad, and inspiring. So do that. I've also been watching a lot of interviews with Reese Witherspoon, who's an actress that I've loved forever since Fear. You know that movie's horrifying and I'll never watch it again, but she was in it and it was fantastic. Reese is really like, I think she's like 10 years older than me, so she's always been like, one of the big movie stars for me. But the way that she's so smart, you can tell in the way that she talks. And she's such a serious, like, hard worker. Like, I don't think she's a natural comedian. I think she does comedian roles, but I think that she's really good at her job. And I just find her really inspiring. I find like how she's just like, no, I'm just going to do it this way. Like, this is the way I want to do it. Like, I don't care what anybody else says. And I'm sure she does. I'm sure she does care what other people says, but she just she doesn't care if other people think that it's like that's not going to work. Why would you do that? She's like, I'm going to do it. Like, she's going to figure it out. Right. I find that so inspiring. Obviously, no shock here. Taylor Swift's documentary, even though it is hard and heavy to watch, but just seeing her leadership and again, her being like, this is what I'm going to do. And of course, it may not go the way I expected it to go. And we have to make pivots here and there, but like, I'm going to do what I want to do and I'm going to make it happen. Like, you just want to stand up and give a standing ovation, right? I do. I love anything that I see women that have that tenacity and they're like, this is how much money I'm going to make. And I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to make it, but I know it's going to be through some of these things and I'm going to keep trying until I get the goal I want. And then once I get the goal I want, I'm going to celebrate, have the best time, really enjoy it. And then I'm going to figure out a new goal and go for that. Like, I love that so much. And I am so inspired by so many of my clients that have that attitude. And I have to say, they're equal parts terrified and equal parts driven. And I would say the same thing for myself. Like, I take steps forward. I have endurance. I am so driven. I'm also like, oh God, I don't know about this all the time. And I just choose to, when the doubt comes up, I choose to be like, I know, it's okay. You're allowed to be here. I'm not going to tell you to go away, but doubt, you don't create anything. Like, doubt doesn't create action. It just creates uncomfortability, right? So that's okay. That's your role. You're going to be uncomfortable here. It's like very inside out, right? But I'm going to focus on the drive part of me, because that part of me knows exactly what to do and knows exactly how to overcome obstacles. It is not going to let a bump or 10 bumps in the road stop them, right? And of course, doubt is there as a evolutionary thing, right? Like, doubt is very good at keeping you safe, because if it really needed to keep you safe, our ancestors safe forever and ever. And of course, there's some things that maybe it's a good reason that doubt's there. We don't want to completely ignore her, so we do want to acknowledge her, but we don't have to believe her all the time. I'm just saying her because it's me. I'm talking about myself. Lastly, I just want to say, I believe in you. I know that December probably kicked your butt. I hope you're taking at least New Year's off. And I hope you can sit down and get some inspiration from other things besides estheticians. Like, stay away from other estheticians inspiring you, because it's going to bring up jealousy and comparison. Focus. That's why, like, I like to focus on people that are not in my industry. Like, I'm not a comedian, right? Which I think being a comedian may be the hardest thing in the world, even more than, I feel like musicians really hard, actors really hard, because being an actor is really embarrassing. You're constantly doing things that is not you, and that could be just so embarrassing. Comedian is like the most embarrassing. Like, I get embarrassed all the time for comedians. That's a crazy level of hard to me. It's obviously, you can get embarrassed doing what we do, and I do sometimes get a little bit embarrassed, not so much as I used to. But anyways, I look for inspiration for people achieving their goals in other industries, because if I looked at all the successful estheticians that I don't know that are also mentors or coaches or consultants, that would bring me a lot of, like, even just saying that, I could feel my body changed. So I was like, oh God, don't do that. I don't want to know that, because it's not inspiring me. It just creates comparison in me, and it creates doubt in me. But if I focus on people in other industries doing things that are really successful for them, having a lot of fun, that gives me the inspiration to figure out the next thing I need to figure out my business, to get my goals, to help my clients get their goals, to help my skincare clients get their goals. It is the path forward. Have a happy New Year. Safe ring in 2026. Please, healthy and happy. Talk to you next year. Bye for now.